Hi there, students of nonverbal communication. It's Ivy coming to you again on Chapter 10, Nonverbal Communication and Technology. In this section, I just wanted to look a really quick. I want to say two more things about the cell phone usage and nonverbal cues with it. Um, when you are texting, and God knows I have enjoyed texting. I have discovered the joy of the text. I do it way more than I used to. It's a nice way to just kind of touch in with people and exchange things and, kind of help you remember stuff or remind people of stuff or whatever. So I appreciate the joy of texting, the ease of it, how fast, how economical, and how expedient it is for contacting people. Um, Couple of things that are nonverbal is your use of abbreviations in the form of acronyms or textisms. That's a hard word to say, textisms. This is on page 350 of chapter 10 in our textbook, and we talk about acronyms, shortened versions of things. Textisms are ones that may also involve letters, numbers. Y'all probably use this. Probably the main one that acronym that came out was Laugh Out Loud, LOL. Occasionally, there are acronyms that come out, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. It took me a while. Like IMHO, in my humble opinion, I didn't know immediately what that was. LMAO, laughing my ass off. Anyway, some of them I'm like, what the heck is that? And I have to Google them and look them up because there's new ones being developed all the time. But the nonverbal is a shorthand. These are shorthands, abbreviations that we use that help us text faster. I want you to think about your use of them. How often you use them, and is it a form of shorthand or a slang that you develop? Would you use laughing my ass off with your best buddy over text, but not your mom? Okay, so you think about these kind of things, these choices that we make. Another thing is grammar, spelling, and punctuation. And, college professors are nuts about this. We want you to write well all the time. I do realize that texting is about speed. It's a whole different means of communication. But I'm one of those people that when I text, I proofread my text the most of the time. I watch for the an unfortunate autocorrect. Probably everybody in our I'm talking to now, all my students have had an unfortunate autocorrect. The funniest one I ever heard was an autocorrect when a woman texted one of her friends and said, "I enjoyed meeting your daughter Sarah last night." And the autocorrect changed Sarah to Satan. And so it said, "I enjoyed meeting your daughter Satan last night." I think that's one of the funniest autocorrects I've ever heard. Autocorrect has messed me up a few times because I'll hit send too fast and then I'll realize it's changed the word and I have to go back and go, ugh, here's what I meant. So look at that grammar, spelling, punctuation. I do feel like our grammar, our ability to write well, is hampered by texting. When you shift out of texting and into correct grammar, spelling, punctuation like you would for a paper you were submitting for a grade or for publication, that's an awkward shift. It's almost like when we shift from slang and into more formal language, maybe for a speech or a language we want to use in a job interview where we need to bring that up and have our language be more professional. It's a code switching kind of a thing. And so just realize texting is one thing, emailing is another. Don't email and text like you speak. Sometimes that's not a good idea. Sometimes I get emails that are just one long da 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 da. I can't tell where the sentences are. It's just one long idea. There's no punctuation. There's no capitalization, and I'm like going, what the heck? So do remember your audience. When you craft these messages, there are effective ways to do them and ways that are kind of confusing for the person on the other end of the line. Okay, so one section in here on page 351, starts on page 351, is about chat, video chatting. Now, talk about something that the pandemic has changed completely for us. Most of my department faculty meetings now, most of the faculty meetings at the university, I was a part of one where 400 plus faculty members were in on it. You couldn't see 400 squares on your screen. Of course, that doesn't work. Tiny, where is she? But now we have to think about WebEx and Zoom because we are all using these means of transmitting messages and having group meetings, we're using them a million times more than any of us probably ever thought we would. And so now we're looking at what's the environment behind me. What if I have a kid and the kid comes screaming into the room? What if my spouse walks through, if I had a spouse? What if I have a cat who walks across my... Yeah, this has happened where people have funny incidents that have happened with their animals. When they're, in a Zoom meeting or something, a WebEx, like we use at the university. So I will certainly be, the next time I revise this textbook, I will certainly be beefing up that section on video chatting because it's a short section now, but now it's huge. Do you look at the camera to make eye contact? When I'm doing WebEx office hours, I look at the person who's popped in because humans are drawn to faces. We like looking at faces more than some green light at the top of my computer. But there are times when I'm doing these videos that I have to look at that green light and say, Ivy, that's how you make eye contact with people. Don't look at your own face because then you end up looking down. You've probably seen some odd things. Sometimes people have a camera set up where they're coming into a Zoom meeting and we're looking straight up their nose. We have to think about these kind of things. All the nonverbals. Some people, they never appear on video, and sometimes it's just that square with their initials in it. Maybe you hear their voice, maybe you don't. What kind of impressions are you forming of people who don't enter a WebEx? They're either muted with their video or their audio is muted. And so do they use the chat thing? Do we ever hear from them? Do we kind of know that they're there, or are they somewhere else? These are interesting questions now. These are new things that we're having to learn. On page 353, there's a section on cell phone use and romantic relationships. Take a look at that. This is a source of conflict. How much time do you spend on your cell phone or on your laptop or on your iPad or whatever your device is when you're in the presence of a significant other? This can cause a lot of conflict. So take a look at that section. Another big chunk in this chapter is nonverbal cues and social media. And I know y'all are big on social. Man, now you just call it social. You probably call it SOCMED. You probably type it out as SOC space MED, right? You abbreviate even that. And it's a big deal. I know a lot of y'all are on Instagram. Maybe you have Snapchat. Maybe you've got a lot of dating apps, which are not the same thing as social media, but they're closely related. Maybe some of you are on Facebook. A lot of you got off of Facebook once your parents got on Facebook. So maybe Facebook is still the biggest worldwide user, but it's not the number one for college students. College students are split sort of between Instagram and Snapchat and also Twitter. Twitter is big among college students. Think about the nonverbal cues associated with your social media presence. For example, there's research that says you are judged by the quality of the friends you keep. Meaning, there's some studies that have looked at if you post pictures on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, of your very good-looking friends, you can be evaluated more positively for the fact that you have pictures of good-looking friends. I may find that incredibly superficial, but there you go. That happens. Pictures that you post of yourself, as well as how often you post. How long are your posts? I particularly don't like posts of food on Facebook. Now, if you're a cook and you've prepared some incredible dish, like recently at my birthday, I had the most amazing cupcakes of my life. And they were made by a good friend of mine, Pam Briard, Dr. Pam Briard, in the psych department. She used to be the chair. She just stepped down as chair. Pam Briard is an incredible baker, and she made the most extraordinary cupcakes as my birthday present this year when I turned 65. So I posted pictures of those cupcakes everywhere because that was incredible, and it was a lovely thing for her to do. But people who go to a restaurant and they get a plate of food and they take a picture of the food and they post it on Facebook, it's like, I don't want to see your enchiladas. I don't care. So anyway, everybody's different about this, okay? But your posts and your pictures and your social media presence, there are many, many nonverbal elements to that, as you well know. So what is your cover photo? What are you doing in photos? If your social life is restricted, are you posting less photos because you're not going anywhere? Maybe you're not seeing very many people. Maybe your social media presence has lessened during this time that we are in. Maybe you want to pull back on your social media presence because you're looking for a job. That's a good thing to do. Scrub your social media when you are on the job market because employers or potential employers have ways of looking at your profiles and finding out things about you. And so you need to know what is out there about you. Other people may post things and it shows up in your Twitter feed or your Facebook circle, and that may affect other people's impressions of you. So think about this, y'all. Be really wise, particularly if you're on the job market. So there are other things in this chapter about computer-mediated communication. I will ask you to take a look at that on your own. There's a final section in here about the section in the chapter, better known as a section, on the virtual body. Some people like communicating through computer-mediated channels because, as one author wrote, online everyone is beautiful. So there are some people who would prefer to text and to email and to have computer-mediated communication where their physicality is not an issue. They don't show up physically and they feel more comfortable or safer or more protected that way. So think about that. That's a little bit toward the end of the chapter. I'm going to stop right there and close, but just please think about the nonverbal aspects of your use of technology because it is ever increasing in our culture and many cultures around the world. We're not going to go backwards on technology. We're only going to go forward. And so consider that and think about the nonverbal elements. Okay, bye for now. Thanks.